How many of you guys have ever had the experience where maybe you heard of a vegan festival and you really wanted to go, but you looked around and you're like, I have nobody to go with? That happens to me sometimes, and I actually have a bunch of vegan friends. And on this channel, I would like to also share with you guys how I made a bunch of my vegan friends so that hopefully you guys can create more of a vegan community in real life, not just on the computer, but in real life, you can hang out with vegans. I would love to teach you guys how to do that. So with this story, I hope that you can learn how you can just make friends at vegan festivals, which is exactly what I did. This was the first time that I had ever done anything like this. So when I did this, I was not super experienced. So this was maybe 2 months ago by now. But my sister told me about this vegan festival. It was a Friday evening she told me about this, and it was on Sunday. So I had like barely any time. So like I said, even though I have a bunch of vegan friends, no one could like clear the schedule and drive 2 hours away to get some overpriced vegan food and then drive 2 hours back. Like, it was just me. I was the only one able to do that. So at first I was like, I don't know if I want to, because usually I want to go to like VeganDale or VegFest like with my friends. What if I end up just sitting there and I just drove 2 hours, paid a lot of money in gas, and then I'm paying for overpriced vegan food to just sit there by myself, which I could do in my city without wasting my time driving 2 hours, and I could probably do it for less money. So I was like, I can really only do this if I'm going to make friends while I'm there. Otherwise, it's so not going to be worth it. So like I said, I was kind of hemming and hawing. I was like, do I want to go? Do I not? I was like going back and forth in my mind, and I just came up to this decision. I was like, okay, there's one of two things going to happen today. Either one, I'm going to stay home and I'm going to be as productive as I can. I'm going to get so much work done. I'm going to mow the lawn. I'm going to do everything I have to do. Or I'm going to go and have like a really fun time and just going to make it like an absolute adventure. And I ended up just making the adventure choice. So I drove there 2 hours, like I said, starving, because I woke up still unsure if I wanted to go, but I was like, if I do go, I want to be starving, so then I can eat a bunch of food. So hadn't eaten anything that day, got there. The main thing that I've found as far as like making friends when you're going to places like this is definitely have some good warm-ups in you. Like after I parked the car, I asked somebody about parking, and then I asked somebody where the bathroom was. Like these are all like things that I genuinely wanted to know, but they're also just good warm-ups so that then you're not just like having your first interaction with another human being that day. Just be like,
hello, let's be friends.
because that's not going to work. So, get a couple warm-ups in you. And then when I was ready, I just went up to some people and I just said, have you guys seen anything today that looked really good? And then they gave me like some recommendations for like a couple places around here. And usually people might be a little bit standoffish or like a little bit cold when you first start talking. But as you start talking, they're gaining a little bit more information about you. So don't be kind of put off if people are a little bit hesitant to talk to you at first. Just kind of power through it. I mean, read the room if they're like very uncomfortable. Like that happens very rarely, I will say. Because I think a lot of people underestimate how often people want to talk, especially when they go to social places like a VegFest or a VeganDale. This is a little bit off topic, but at VeganDale, I talked to it's like 50 random people or something. A lot of them were like very small conversations. I think only like 2 of them were experiences where I could tell the person just didn't want to talk, and I was like, okay, I just leave them alone. But that's like a 98 or maybe 96% chance of success. But anyway, so needless to say, just power through. The more you talk to somebody, usually they open up a little bit more, and they kind of just feel a little bit more comfortable because they're like, oh, okay, this person's not a crazy person. It's good to let them know up front what your intentions are. Like, are you trying to get their number? Are you just trying to ask what food is really good? Are you trying to convert them to Mormonism? Are you trying to add them to your pyramid scheme? Like, what are you trying to do? Usually that sets people at ease if they know exactly what you're there for very early on. So I was just trying to get some recommendations. I got my recommendations, and then I start to turn to walk away, and I accidentally bump into some guy. And then he goes, oh, sorry. I was like, oh, don't worry about it. And then I was like, wait, I can go talk to that guy. So I asked him the same question. I was like, hey, have you guys seen anything today that looked really good? And he was a little bit more open, and so was the girl that he was with. When we started talking about like where I was from, I said I was from Syracuse. They're like, why? That's like 2 hours away. Why would you come here just for this little festival? And I was like, I had nothing better to do. So then we started talking a little bit, walking through the festival, figuring out what we wanted. They wanted something else than I wanted. Eventually, I did get his number, and then I was like, oh, well, I'll text you when I find a seat. we ended up like not really having that much in common, so I kind of didn't really care that we didn't really meet up afterwards. I ate my food alone because I was starving, and then I was like, okay, now I'm gonna go get food, and I'm actually gonna meet people that I really want to hang out with, because that's that kind of happens sometimes. Like you'll talk to people, you won't super click. But then you got to talk to other people before you really find the people that you really click with. So I got some of the recommendations after getting my buffalo chicken quesadilla, which is very good. I got some mozzarella sticks, pizza, and a lemonade. My hands were full, and I was like, I need a place to sit down. So I saw these girls sitting at a table, and then I just walked up to them and said, hey, can I sit with you guys? And the main thing to do is just come up with confidence and come up with like saying something concrete instead of just like, hi. Or, hi, what's up? Just saying something like, can I sit here? Or, what food have you seen that looks really good? Or whatever you want to say something. Don't just say hi. So they said, yes, I could sit down. And again, we were just like talking like a little bit. It wasn't like anything crazy. But then I noticed an accent, and I was like, oh, where are you from? And she was like, oh, I'm from Spain. I was like, Spain? I was like, I'm learning Spanish. She was like, really? And then her friend was from Argentina. She got really excited. They asked me to say something in Spanish, and I was like, I'm so on the spot, I can't think of a single word right now. And then they started laughing, and then eventually I was like, okay, me llamo Craig. And then slowly my Spanish started to come back because, like, the nerves, I think, just erased all my Spanish words from my head. So sometimes that happens. But usually you'll click with somebody really well if you can find something that is kind of like unexpectedly in common. Like if you're not at a vegan festival and you find out someone's vegan, you're like, oh my god, no way, like you bond so quickly. But if you're at a vegan festival and someone else is vegan, it's like, well, yeah, that's kind of like a given. So this person was vegetarian and one of their other friends was vegetarian. Doesn't matter. Two people were vegetarian, their other two friends were not vegetarian. Anyway, so we didn't bond over that because it was kind of like a given. But we bonded over the fact that they were from Spain, Argentina, Mexico, and Argentina, and I was learning Spanish. So we were like all kind of talking in English and Spanish and like eating our food. And then we're like, hey, let's go dance. That was probably the funnest part of like the whole festival, just because I was just dancing with these people that I like. Most of the people I was with, I had no idea what their names were, except for like the 4 Spanish girls that I met. And it was just like dancing. It was just like, I don't know if you have ever experienced doing something and then while you're right in the moment, you're just thinking like, damn, this was a really good decision. I am so glad that I did whatever I did today or made whatever decision I made. It's just such a good decision. I just couldn't get over that. I think the main thing that really did it for me was that because I didn't go with friends and because I was like, I'm just going to make friends, I had no idea what the festival was going to hold for me. I had no idea that I was going to be dancing with people that I had just barely met and a bunch of other people that I didn't know at all. Like usually that would seem like kind of scary to do. But because I was going for an adventure, I got the adventure that I wanted. And then we went to go play pool. We did a couple other things and then the festival was closing down. So we all just took a picture because I definitely really wanted to remember this because it was just kind of like a turning point for me. You'll see why in a little bit. But yeah, we took a photo and went our separate ways. And then on the way out, I grabbed a lettuce wrap. Again, had to sit down. Lettuce wrap. I usually like to sit when I eat. I don't want to stand there. It's kind of like a two-hander. But I saw these people that were sitting down at a table, and then I almost walked by them. I actually kind of walked back a little bit, and I was like, hey, do you guys mind if I sit with you? And they like looked a little caught off guard, like, what is this random guy trying to do? And then I just sat down, and I was like, I know, it's probably pretty random that I'm just sitting here. And then I just asked them if they had gone to the festival. They were still a little bit like standoffish, but we were getting somewhere. As we just kept talking though, like the walls started to come down and we really started to bond. We all got each other's Instagrams and stuff. We had some like just cool conversation. By the time I was done with my lettuce wrap, I had to go. I had a friend in Albany I was going to go meet up with. But I would say definitely without a doubt, sorry everyone else, but the Spanish girls were definitely my favorite people that I met that day. It was so worth it just to go to that festival, to meet them, to meet all the other people. And just like I said, it was kind of like a turning point for me because at that point I was not planning on going to Vegandale because Vegandale was in Chicago, which is like an 11-hour drive for me, so I was going to fly. But for whatever reason, people couldn't go, whether it was a scheduling conflict or like just money because it's not cheap. You have to get like a hotel or an Airbnb and you got to fly there. You got to pay for the food while you're there. It's a whole thing if you're going to travel to go to Vegandale. So I was the only one who was able to go. But because I had done this on a smaller scale, I went to this Albany VegFest. I was like, you know what? If I can do that, I can go to Chicago Vegan Day. So very last minute, I booked a flight, hotel, all that stuff, and I had like the time of my life. It was the best vegan day I'd ever had in my life, and it was only because I had the confidence from doing it on a much smaller scale at the Albany VegFest. So if there's anything you guys can take away from this, it's that you can absolutely go to VegFest by yourself and just go talk to people. It might take like 4 or 5 different conversations before you actually find someone. They're like, oh, you're like pretty cool. You know, you might have some conversations where you're like, okay, well, maybe we have veganism in common, but that's not really enough for a friendship. But, you know, there's no harm in just like finding out. You never know until you actually talk to the person. But I have made friends at restaurants. I have made friends. Like the other day, I met someone at Wegmans and I got his number and I was like, hey, we have potlucks all the time. And he was like a guy who's like, he's like, I'm trying to be vegan. So I was like, you should definitely come to the potlucks. You'd be surrounded by a bunch of vegans. If you need any help or support or anything, like all of us are here for you. So I want that for you guys. I want you guys to be able to cultivate a bunch of vegan friends, even a significant other maybe in real life. So definitely subscribe if you guys want to see that. I think my next video might be about how I went about making friends at Vegan Dale, because I made a ton of friends at Vegan Dale. And then I'm definitely going to be going to other Vegan Dales later this year, and I'm planning on making a bunch of other friends. Maybe I'll see some of you guys there. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought of this video, and I hope that you guys subscribe so that you can just create more of a actual vegan community in real life. Remember, not just on the computer.